1. A mother is in the kitchen making dinner for her family when her daughter walks in. Mother, where do babies come from? The mother thinks for a few seconds and says, well, dear, mommy and daddy fall in love and get married. One night they go into their bedroom, they kiss and hug and have sex. The daughter looks puzzled, so the mother continues, that means the daddy puts his penis in the mommy's vagina. That's how you get a baby, honey. The child seems to comprehend. Oh, I see, but the other night when I came into your room, you had daddy's penis in your mouth. What do you get when you do that? Jewelry, my dear, jewelry. 2. I asked a Chinese girl for her number. She said, sex, 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 free sex tonight. I said, wow. Then her friend said, she means 666-3629. 3. A lady goes to the doctor and complains that her husband is losing interest in sex. The doctor gives her a pill, but warns her that it's still experimental. He tells her to slip it into his mashed potatoes at dinner. So that night, she does just that. About a week later, she's back at the doctor, where she says, Doc, the pill worked great. I put it in the potatoes like you said. It wasn't 5 minutes later that he jumped up, raked all the food and dishes onto the floor, grabbed me, ripped all my clothes off and ravaged me right there on the table. The doctor says, I'm sorry. We didn't realize the pill was that strong. The foundation will be glad to pay for any damages. Nah, she says, that's okay. We're never going back to that restaurant anyway. 4. Little Sally came home from school with a smile on her face and told her mother, Frankie Brown showed me his weenie today at the playground. Before the mother could raise a concern, Sally went on to say, it reminded me of a peanut. Relaxing with a hidden smile, Sally's mom asked, really small was it? Sally replied, no, salty. Mom fainted. 5. A man is lying on the beach, wearing nothing but a cap over his crotch. A woman passing by remarks, if you were any sort of a gentleman, you would lift your hat to a lady. He replies, if you were any sort of a sexy lady, the hat would lift by itself. 6. A bride tells her husband, honey, you know I'm a virgin and I don't know anything about sex. Can you explain it to me first? Okay, sweetheart. Putting it simply, we will call your private place the prison and call my private thing the prisoner. So what we do is put the prisoner in the prison. And they made love for the first time, and the husband was smiling with satisfaction. Nudging him, his bride giggles, honey, the prisoner seems to have escaped. Turning on his side, he smiles and says, then we will have to re-imprison him. After the second time, the bride says, honey, the prisoner is out again. The husband rises to the occasion, and they made love again. The bride again says, honey, the prisoner escaped again, to which the husband yelled, hey, it's not a life sentence. 7. One day, there were 2 boys playing by a stream. One of the young boys saw a bush and went over to it. The other boy couldn't figure out why his friend was at the bush for so long. The other boy went over to the bush and looked. The 2 boys were looking at a woman bathing naked in the stream. All of a sudden, the second boy took off running. The first boy couldn't understand why he ran away, so he took off after his friend. Finally, he caught up to him and asked why he ran away. The boy said to his friend, my mom told me if I ever saw a naked lady, I would turn to stone, and I felt something getting hard, so I ran. 8. 2 cowboys are out on the range talking about their favorite sex position. One says, I think I enjoy the rodeo position the best. I don't think I've ever heard of that one, says the other cowboy. What is it? Well, it's where you get your girl down on all 4 and you mount her from behind. Then you reach around, cup her tits, and whisper in her ear, boy, these feel almost as nice as your sister's. Then you try and hold on for 30 seconds. 9. Babe, is it in? Yeah. Does it hurt? Uh-huh. Let me put it in slowly. It still hurts. Okay, let's try another shoe size. 10. A little boy caught his mom and dad having sex. After, he asked, what were you and daddy doing? The mom said, we were baking a cake. A few days later, the little boy asked his mom, were you and daddy baking a cake? She said yes, and asked him how he knew. He answered, because I licked the frosting off the couch. 11. A wife comes home late one night and quietly opens the door to her bedroom. From under the blanket, she sees 4 legs instead of just her husband's 2. She reaches for a baseball bat and starts hitting the blanket as hard as she can. Once she's done, she goes to the kitchen to have a drink. As she enters, she sees her husband there, reading a magazine. He says, "Hi, darling, your parents have come to visit us, so I let them stay in our bedroom. Did you say hello?" 12. A girl realized that she had grown hair between her legs. She got worried and asked her mom about that hair. Her mom calmly said, "That part where the hair has grown is called your monkey. Be proud that your monkey has grown hair." The girl smiled. At dinner, she told her sister, "My monkey has grown hair." Her sister smiled and said, "That's nothing. Mine is already eating bananas." 13. A woman places an ad in the local newspaper. Looking for a man with 3 qualifications: won't beat me up, won't run away from me, and is great in bed. 2 days later, her doorbell rings. "Hi, I'm Tim. I have no arms so I won't beat you, and no legs so I won't run away. What makes you think you are great in bed?" the woman retorts. Tim replies, "I rang the doorbell, didn't I?" 14. 3 guys go to a ski lodge, and there aren't enough rooms, so they have to share a bed. In the middle of the night, the guy on the right wakes up and says, "I had this wild, vivid dream of getting a hand job." The guy on the left wakes up, and unbelievably, he's had the same dream too. Then the guy in the middle wakes up and says, "That's funny, I dreamed I was skiing." 15. There was an old couple laying in bed. The man turns and tells the woman, "If you want to have sex, pull on my dick once. If you don't want to have sex, pull on my dick 100 times. 16. 3 brothers are traveling along a road and their car dies. They all get out of the car and start walking to a barn that's a little ways away. When they get there, the farmer comes out of the barn and offers them a room for 1 night. He says to the first one, "You can sleep with the pigs," the second guy, "You can sleep with the cows," and the third guy, "I like the cut of your jib, you can sleep with my 18 daughters." The next morning, he asks everyone how they slept. The first man said, "I slept like a pig." The second man said, "I slept like a cow." The third guy said, "I slept like a rabbit. I jumped from hole to hole to hole." 17. The bell rang for school to start, and John walked in late. Mr. Clark asked, "John, why are you late?" He replied, "I was on Cherry Hill." Then he sat down. 10 minutes later, Nathan walked in late, and Mr. Clark repeated, "Why are you late?" Nathan answered, "I was on top of Cherry Hill." 5 minutes later, Kevin walked in late, and Mr. Clark said to him, "Kevin, where have you been?" Kevin replied, "I was on Cherry Hill." 10 minutes later, a girl walked in the classroom, and Mr. Clark asked, "Hi there, what's your name?" The girl replied, "Cherry Hill." 18. A married man was having an affair with his secretary. One day, their passions overcame them in the office, and they took off for her house. Exhausted from the afternoon's activities, they fell asleep and awoke at around 8 p.m. As the man threw on his clothes, he told the woman to take his shoes outside and rub them through the grass and dirt. Confused, she nonetheless complied, and he slipped into his shoes and drove home. "Where have you been?" demanded his wife when he entered the house. "Darling," replied the man, "I can't lie to you. I've been having an affair with my secretary. I fell asleep in her bed and didn't wake up until 8 o'clock. The wife glanced down at his shoes and said, "You liar. You've been playing golf." 19. A trucker who has been out on the road for 2 months stops at a brothel outside Atlanta. He walks straight up to the madam, drops down $500 and says, "I want your ugliest woman and a grilled cheese sandwich." The madam is astonished. "But sir, for that kind of money you could have one of my prettiest ladies and a 3-course meal." The trucker replies, "Listen, darling, I'm not horny, I'm just homesick.